Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone's having a good day. It's Friday. I got messages this morning from the post office saying that my cane wouldn't be delivered until Saturday the 2nd. And so I went over to some friend's house, this Asian lady, and all of a sudden I got two messages well, the first one says your cane is out for delivery, and the second one says it's been delivered. So I'm here. We're going to check it out. I told him I'd be right back, so but that's not going to happen. I got a feeling, not right away. Okay, pull this knife out. We've got really good post office here in Prescott Valley. I mean, seriously. If they've got something in, they don't wait and so let's take a look. I should show you the box here. Wow. Let's take a look at this cane since they got my dinner sitting there waiting on me. Wow. Heavy duty. Oh, got the Marine Corps emblem here. This is heavy duty, and it's like glass. I love it. I'm going to do a more in-depth look at it tomorrow. I'm like amazed. I am really amazed. So I've got to head back over there, finish dinner, and I'll be carrying my cane. And then tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to give a more in-depth look at this cane because it's awesome already. I can tell. You know, I just keep looking at it. And it's got my rank and Marine Corps and Special Operations Command. It's just awesome. You know, I keep looking at it, and I've been using this old broken cane, which you really can't see. You can't see much of it. It's an old cane. And I'll tell you, I was using it and pushing down on the handle so I could connect the side charger to the side terminal of my battery, and it broke. Literally, I mean, it snapped, and part of the handle went into my hand, and so it's time. But this one's old anyway. It's all beat up, and I used it, so I'm definitely excited for the new cane. And I'm gonna do, like I say, I'm gonna do a more in-depth look at it. And this is from Free Canes for Veterans Incorporated, and they're out of Florida. You know, people send in or give him their old Christmas trees. And talk about, oh, what would you say? Instead of the old Christmas trees being burned up and discarded and thrown away, he makes canes for veterans and sends them to them. So, and Lord knows, if you look on my Facebook, I've got some friends. Kendra Lou Garza, I think he may have made one of her canes, and Ed Salou. Ed Salou worked with me in the Marine Corps, and he went to the Army, and he got his leg blown off. And I was joking with him about it, and I said, see what happens? You leave the Marine Corps, go to the Army, and you get your leg blown off. He says, yeah, but I'd rather be missing a leg than have all the discs that are compressed in your back, because I get all kinds of weird feelings. Not good, but so anyway, I'm just looking at this. I mean, seriously, it's like glass. It is. And the man who made this, he he contacted me, and he was asking what unit I was with, and I told him I was with Scamp, and he was looking for a sticker, and I never thought about it. Scamp doesn't have any stickers. I mean, up until maybe 5 to 10 years ago, we were still classified. And I took him to Together We Served, and I think there's like 80 of us registered on it, but no photos. I said, you see, there's no photos. And we had a good conversation about that. And he was, uh, because it's hard to find anything since they just declassified us not long ago. Hard to find anything about Second Scamp or Scamp period. And, you hear all those, everyone says they're the first in and stuff, and actually Scamp is the first in, despite what all this you hear, because we would go in and drop ground sensors and from the air, or jump in and implant them, and that way when the main forces come in, we know what's there ahead of time, and we can send recon over there, or we can do recon ourselves and let the command know what's going on. And this all started back in 1960s when Secretary of Defense McNamara wanted an electronic wall put up around the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And so I'll get into that tomorrow when I go in depth with the cane. Uh, but yeah, they started inventing all these sensors and stuff, So we're still used in other capacities to this day. So I can't comment on those, But man, I'm sitting here looking at this cane, and it is gorgeous, literally. So I'm gonna go back over to where I was having dinner and show them the cane, my new cane. And I had my blood drawn at the VA today because I have an appointment on Wednesday, the 6th. So now I'm all excited. I'll be able to walk down those halls proud because I've had I'll get into the I'll get into the canes that I was using when I go into depth for this. So it's going to take me a little while to get back over to their house, but I'm going to show them my new cane, and not going to take my camera. I thought about it right now, but I'm not going to take it over there yet. We'll see what they say. I love it, man. So anyway, I'll get more in depth on this tomorrow. Okay? So for right now, y'all have a great day, and I'm going to go back and eat my dinner. Talk to y'all later. Bye. Okay, everybody, I'm back. This week's not going to be a cooking show. We're going to talk about canes. Yeah, like I said yesterday, I got a new cane. It was made for me. It's mine. There's no other like it. I'm going to just give you a little brief history. I was injured, and in 2006, they told me I'd be in a wheelchair within 10 years. 2016 rolled around, and I was still walking. And I was amazing doctors. I'm one of those that if you say I can't, I'll say, watch me. I'm just that type. And anyway, this cane, I'm sure a lot of people have seen. It's got the foam cover on it. This is issued by the VA. And they work really good, but everybody's got one, if you're disabled. And then I had this one. Everybody's got one of these. Uh, House MD. If you ever watch that movie, he had one. And my son and I were watching it. And he had flames put on down here. And someone says, "What's up with flames?" He says, "Helps me go faster." Of course, my son was young then. And he's like, "Daddy, you got to get flames on your cane to make you go faster." But yeah, I was in physical therapy at the VA, and they took my cane and set it aside. And I went to different therapies around, and I went to another therapy, and everybody always takes your cane away and sets it in the corner. And it's funny because they always say, "Can I take your cane?" It's like they know you're attached to that cane. And I can walk without a cane. And the reason I was, given the cane is because if I step down hard on my heel, or a little bit harder than normal, uh, I get excruciating pain shooting up my back. And sometimes I get a little bit wobbly on my feet because I've got 5 herniated discs in my lower back, and my S1 is mush. That's what a neurosurgeon told me. And I've got 5 herniated discs in my neck. 3 have been repaired, and I have a cage and donor bones holding them up. And so, yeah, my back's pretty messed up, and they don't want to put a cage in my lower back because they're going to have to put a bigger cage in my neck eventually, which then I'll lose all movement in my neck. And they said if they put a cage in my lower back, then I'll lose movement down there, and I can forget about driving. And when the doctor told me, he says, "You're 100% disabled now. You cannot work." And I know there's people out there that are like, "Yay!" No, it wasn't like that with me. I enjoyed my job. So I was, you know, devastated. And I used to play ball catch with my son. And so what I did is I turned my disability into an advantage ability, I guess you could call it. Because my son, I'll tell you what, you go out to play to throw ball with him. Now he's 21. He'll throw that ball directly to you. He doesn't throw any wild balls because he found out real fast if I throw something way off, I got to go get it because Dad's not going to go get it. And and I couldn't swing a golf club anymore, but um, I sure got him out there swinging the golf club and hitting the ball directly down the fairway. And so I ended up coaching him on that, and so, and then people were like, someone told me, you can't go scuba diving. And I says, watch me. And I started explaining to them before it was a certification. I mean, there was probably 3 or 4 of us that scuba dived in North Carolina, and we used to take people, developmentally disabled people that had MS and so forth, and their muscles were all drawn up. We would take them in a pool underwater because if you don't know it, that's why the astronauts train in big pools, because it's the closest you can get to being weightless when you're neutrally buoyant. And to watch these people's muscles relax and see the smiles on their faces, it was priceless. And we did all this voluntarily, and now they made it a specialty. And so, yeah, people that are injured can go scuba diving, and it's relaxing. And but I was at a rehab place, and they took my cane, they set it over, and it was just right next to another guy's, and his was exactly like mine. But so when he got ready to leave, he picked up mine by mistake, and he left with it. But the cane tip, and I've gone through I don't know how many cane tips. His was worn, and so it was no good. And I picked up his because I thought it was mine. They all look the same. And man, I put that on the ground, and the first step it went just like that because there was nothing except wood on the floor. So you know the canes look the same. And then I went to this one. As you can see, it's cracked because I was holding myself up and bending over to try to connect a clip to the side terminals on my battery. And whoever invented this, well, I know that Chevrolet invented the side terminals, but just so that they could make the hood of the cars close better and other reasons. Man, those are tough. But anyway, I was pushing down on this and bending over, and all of a sudden it snapped, as you can see. And I ended up with a big chunk of it in the palm of my hand. You can see where the chunk came out. And so anyway, I had heard about this business, free canes for veterans, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Mark McLeod, and he was in the same unit I was, and he asked me if I'd ever gotten my cane, and I says no, and I started thinking about it, and I thought I put my name in, but I may have given him Kinderloo sometime, or she used to go by Piper and then Garza, and I may have given him her name instead of mine because she needed it better. She lost a leg, and I'm just trying to remember because that's been quite a while when they started this free canes for veterans. And so I says, no, I haven't gotten mine. And all of a sudden, and this was on Facebook, I get this pop-up message, and he started asking what unit I was in, when I was in the service, what service I was in, and all these questions. And I started answering them, and it was kind of cool because I was with Scamp. It's Scamp is declassified now, but for years it was classified. I mean, it started out top secret, and so even my families didn't know what we did. And that's pretty cool. And so to this day, you're not going to find much on Scamp. I took him to Together We Served and showed, there's 80 people in there from Scamp, but there's no photos. And that's why I'm not going to go into detail on what we did, because I'm sure they still have, still do some of it. And so we found out that there's no stickers for Scamp. There's shirts, there's challenge coins, but no stickers. you know. And so anyway, I went through it with this man, this gentleman, and I'm thinking, I think he's really going to make me a cane. And he says, you got to give me a little bit of time to get this going here. And now this is, I want to give a shout out to Free Canes for Veterans. And it's his business. And he sent me a couple of pictures. And they were awesome by the pictures. But the pictures don't do justice. I'm serious. And then yesterday, well, I had shown it to the pictures to Lisa from Lex Asian Market, and she was like, "That's awesome." And we were talking. I says, "Yeah." And so I was expecting the cane today, which is Saturday, and I was over at her mother's house eating dinner, and because I took her mother some Tupperware. And because she had all this Tupperware under the counter, and the tops were all discombobulated and so forth. and so I got tired of watching her trying to figure out what tops to put. So I bought her I got her a 94-piece set and gave it to her. And it wasn't much, but she's 80 years old, and that made her happy. And it's like buying, some Tupperware at the store. But anyway, I took that over there because I hate going over there when I don't take anything, which I've never done, but because I know she's always going to cook. So we're sitting there eating, and then my phone goes off, and it said, "Your cane is out for delivery." And then, like a split second later, "Your cane has been delivered." And so I'm like, "Okay, I gotta leave. I'll be right back." And so I came home and got the box because it was sitting out front, and came in and opened it, which you'll see that's the first part of this video. And so I took the cane with me and went back over there, and they started admiring it. I should have taken my camera when I went back over there, but for me to carry a camera and all that, it's kind of rough. Even though one of the things you can look at if you go on to Sun Young Longest, she's a famous chef. I was on a cooking show with her, and you'll see me surrounded with white, and it's one of her videos, and it says, "We make kimchi and creamy pasta kimchi and so forth." But what you don't see in there is the canes. I've got one. I have one in one corner, one in another corner, and because someone asked me, "How are you doing that if you can't hardly walk?" Well, I can walk sometimes, but not very far. We're talking 3 to 4 feet, maybe. And and so anyway, they asked me, how did you do that, for so long? And I said, well, because the full video is like an hour, and I think she cut it down to like 5 minutes or so, and I actually had my canes hidden, and one of the canes, you won't see it in the video, that when I walked, I had it under my apron. And so, and I had a stool out of sight that I would go over and sit down with. And it was kind of interesting how I did the video, because I didn't have a laptop or any of that. Now I do, because my other computer finally went kaput. And what I did is I had see that cabinet, I had it opened. And I had it opened, and I had a camera sitting on it and shooting all the way across my kitchen. And I had a cane in that corner and a cane over in this corner, and I was walking with the cane, but you don't see that because it was under my apron. And yeah, the lights on that computer come on, but I think the CPU may be dead, because it'll come on for maybe a few minutes and then die. But it stays cool. But anyway, getting back to the story, I know some people got upset. I don't know why. When I, you know, told them how I did the video, I guess they thought I was not being honest or something. I don't know. I've always said, a lot of times that I was disabled. But anyway, I got home, and yesterday, I had to. I didn't have any choice. I was just going crazy. I wanted to see my new cane, and came in and opened up the box, and I looked at it, and I kind of went over it, and but not in really good detail until I got back over to their house, and the lady says to me, she says, "I thought you said you were going to be right back." And I says, "I am," but and I took the cane with me, and if you look, there's the Marine Corps emblem on this side, which I was impressed with. And on the other side, there's a penny with the date that I went in the Marine Corps. And I mean, this thing's like glass, literally. And it's thick enough that I'm not going to fall. And I started looking at it really close when I was over. And then down at the bottom, I see Oscar D. Morris, the third, number 947, USN, United States Navy. He's the one who made this. And I mean, and then it's got a handle too. I am really impressed. And yesterday I had blood work drawn, and because I have an appointment at the VA on Wednesday, and I don't have to worry about anybody stealing my cane or picking it up by mistake, because there's not another one like it. And when I say that, I mean it seriously. Oscar is a hero. Seriously, you can't believe, people think a cane is a cane, and but when you're actually disabled, people don't realize it. When you have to carry a cane on one side, I started out, they had me carrying a cane on my right side, and I had my keys in my left side. Then they decided after years to switch my cane to the left side. That may sound, easy for some people, no biggie. Um, but when you're used to doing something, carrying the cane on my right side, I'd carry my groceries in with my left arm, and I'd have my keys in my left hand to open the door with, and then they switch it. I mean, it's a challenge, you know, and there's no way that, I mean, they told me to ride out the pain. Every time I've gone into a new doctor, and I've seen over 19 doctors, They always call a colleague in to look at my MRIs and X-rays, and they always look at me and say, "How are you walking?" And I said, "One foot in front of the other," and they're like, "You should not be able to walk at all. You should be in excruciating pain." And I guess after all those years, I'm used to the pain. What if you go to the doctor, they'll ask you if you're in pain, and if they'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain level? Well, I go around. My average is a 7, seriously, and so I put a lot of pressure on canes when I walk, just so I don't step down really hard with my heel and shoot uh, start pain. Because if I start pain, I'm down for about 3 days if I smash my foot down really hard, and that's why I have to be really careful when it's snowing and raining and stuff. But so it's interesting, and you get used to it. And when I do get in serious pain, what most people would call a 10 is about a 20. They'd be screaming for me, and I've got a really good doctor at the VA. I've had her for a while now, and she's from Thailand, and her name's USA, spelled USA. And I remember being in, I did that show with Sanyan Longest, and I went over to Lex Asian Market, and Lex the mother, who's 80, but Lisa was hooking me up with all the ingredients I needed for all the different things and everything. And she's like my little sister. Now she's having to close her shut up shop because of the gas prices. It would cost her too much money to drive all the way to Phoenix and then back with product. And to sell it, she would have to go way up on the prices, and it just wouldn't be worth it. I mean, she may be back if it starts over, if the gas prices go down and such. And it was, and when I went over there to eat yesterday, she wasn't there, but she'll eventually see it. She was at her store because, like I say, she's closing it down, and she was talking to some restaurants about the shelves that are in there, and because they wanted to buy the shelves and so forth. So she didn't get to see this yet, but she'll eventually see it. But I actually took pictures of it and sent it to my son. He lives in Colorado now, and man, Oscar outdid himself on this. Seriously, I mean, it's like glass, literally. And so I know it's definitely not going to give out on me like the other palm did, and no one's going to steal it because there's not another one like it. What they do is people send in their old Christmas trees or take them to him. I'm not exactly sure how that portion works, and and he sands them down, and then it looks like he varnishes them and so forth, and it's he does this for free, and hence the name Free Canes for Veterans Incorporated. Y'all remember that. If you're a veteran and you need a cane, uh, look him up on Facebook. He's on there, and he's out of Estes, Florida. I believe that's how you say it. Eustis, Florida. And and he does this for therapy. He gets good feelings from doing this. And he told me that he really enjoyed making mine. Of course, he had to figure out who we were, you know. And because nobody ever heard of my unit, really. It's real. I'm going to my Marines were reservist or something there, and after it was over with, I was out in the lobby and I went up to the guy who was in charge of them, and I said, "Semper Fi," and I shook his hand and I told him that I'd spent a total of 22 years in the Marine Corps, and he says, "Yeah, what unit?" And I said, "Scamp," and all of a sudden it was like I had the plague or something. He walked away, and his little constituents that were with him walked away too. And then when I went out to get my car, they were pointing and talking about my car. And I mean, I've got disabled veteran plates on it and a big Eagle Globe and anchor on the back window, you know. And so there's, you know, just that no one ever knew anything about Scant, really. And there's still very little shown on the internet at all, you know. It's just a little bit. And now they call it something else. But so yeah, I was taking Oscar through all this to show him, you know, I'm at first I thought, well, maybe he thinks that I'm a poser or something. But Mark McLeod, who asked me if I'd gotten my cane yet, he worked for me in Scamp, and then some other people worked for me. And you know, my Facebook has a whole bunch of them on there. And we don't, I mean, at any given time, there's 20 operators for every division in Scamp. I mean, every division in the Marine Corps. That might have changed by now, but that's how it was. You had 20 operators, and you had probably 3 or 4 who were technicians, and then you had the administrative side, which was CO, and you had the platoon sergeant, because it's only a platoon, and you had an admin guy, and that was it. And there's only four of us, 4 of the units in the Marine Corps. You have 1st Marine Division, which is out of Camp Pendleton. You had 2nd Marine Division, which is out of Camp Lejeune. 3rd Marine Division, which is out of Okinawa. And then you had the 4th Marine Division, and they didn't have a scamp until just recently. And I think for the first Gulf War, maybe they started. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when. But so that's a total of 80 out of I think 218,000 people in the Marine Corps. It used to be 300 and something thousand, but they've cut back. And so that tells you how small we are. We used to have to give classes to when we would get attached to an air contingency battalion. Um, you know, we would have to give the commanders and officers classes on what we did because there would be 4 of us attached to them. But if they had a call-up drill, we informed them that we would not be attending any of their call-up drills because, and there's a good reason. I mean, we like to act. We're human. When we're back in the rear, we like to be with our families because we were constantly gone. When I was fixing to re-enlist, and my wife brought me in 17 calendars, and she says, "Here, there's one for each day or each year that we've been married." And she says, "Every place there's an X is a day you've been home." And I started going through and counting. She says, "I've already averaged it out. You've been at home." She says, "You were at home in the 17 years, 39 days a year." And she gave me the right act. She says, "I'm tired of being married without a husband." She says, "I know how to balance a checkbook. I know how to change the oil and tires on the car. I know how to argue with lawyers when you're closing on a house." And she was giving me all, she says, "I'm just tired of being married without, without actually having a husband." And I started thinking, I said, I guess that is kind of rough, because I had to keep a sea bag packed behind the door. And, you know, it happened a few times. Uh, she was working down in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and she would come home and there'd be a note. You know, she'd have to find her way home because I would. One time I went out to get a new blade for my lawnmower, came back and there's a white van in my driveway, and there was one way in on the road that I lived on, and that same way out. So once I got up there, they saw me. There was like no hiding, you know. And so I went in and I grabbed my bag and wrote her a note, honey, I'm gone, don't know where I'm going, don't know when I'll be back. And that's just how we were. Every hot spot there was, they would send us, and we were constantly gone. So I understood her feelings and everything, and she says, if you're going to re-enlist, call me when you retire. And I went in and told Sergeant Major, and he stood up and he says, here, sit in my seat. And I sat down, and he says, you're only a few ranks from it. He says, you'll be here in no time. He says, because you're an outstanding Marine. He's giving me the hoorah talk. And he says, how's it feel to sit there? And I says, lonely. And he's like, damn, we'll fill out the papers. So he filled out the papers, and I went on and retired. And then I ended up spending another 5 years in the inactive reserves, and which is kind of interesting because I would have to go down to Phoenix and report to a reserve unit once a year, and they would pay me a daily pay, what I would normally get if I was on active duty for that one day for being down there. And a lot of times we'd give their poolees, the people waiting to go in the Marine Corps, a class on what exactly the Marine Corps was like. Of course, couldn't tell them anything about my job at the time, so we would just answer questions about the General Marine Corps. And but yeah, I did that for 5 years, and then we had this. There was almost a call up where they were going to take all the reserves and the inactive reserves and everything, and call them out, and I would have been going back to a scamp unit. We had which would have been fine. They never called us up or anything, but we were ready. I had some friends that had done the same thing, and we were ready. And so it was like a roller coaster, up and down, and doing the things we did. And I can remember when they declassified scamp, and I even got my nieces and some other people. There's a private group on Facebook which is scamp, and I got them in it and my son in it. And at first they were like, we don't want other people in. And I said, so how are y'all going to find out if one of us dies? Because we're old enough that, it could happen. And I've already lost a bunch of friends, just one for a heart attack. I mean, it's kind of strange. He was climbing, doing something, and fell and injured his back. And they did back surgery on him, and he had a heart attack. And so they put all the life-saving equipment on him and everything. And I don't remember the whole story. He wanted it taken off, and they took it off. And his son had one who had it put on, and they took it off, and then he was doing fine. And then all of a sudden he had another heart attack and passed away. And because we're not getting any younger, not at all. And seriously, I went in for I've got a cyst/tumor inside my sinus cavity somewhere. They don't know exactly what it is, but now it hasn't gotten any bigger or any smaller. But I almost had surgery with that, and then the COVID stuff came out, and so that surgery was canceled. And Then I had cataract surgery, and first surgery, the anesthesiologist, I told him, I says, look, I've already had my neck operated on, and I have anesthesia awareness, and I was told that to be sure and tell any anesthesiologist that I have anesthesia awareness. I wake up during surgeries, and I says I woke up when they were operating on my neck, and he wrote all that down, and I'm not sure where he was from. He had an accent, and he says, "Don't worry, don't worry," and he says, "We'll get you out." And so after that surgery, I had an ugly looking eye. I mean, I went to that Asian lady's husband's funeral, went to it, and it was kind of funny because I had a patch over my eye. I didn't want to gross anybody out, and they started calling me Pirate Don because all I need is get my leg chopped off and put a stump on there, just like because I had the patch over my eye and everything. I take it, my disability. I kind of laugh at it sometimes, but it's serious. It's real, and so anyway, I go in for the second surgery, and my son, and this was going to be on the right eye, and my son's he's got my medical power of attorney and everything, and so we're driving there, and so I had to brief him again. I says, now you know what to do if something happens, and they tell you that I'm gonna be paralyzed. He says, yeah, I told them to kill you, and I says, well, not exactly in those words. And so we get there, and they had a hard time putting the IVs in me and such, and finally they got one in, and the anesthesiologist, a different one, comes in, and I tell him that I got anesthesia awareness, and I woke up during the first um, cataract surgery to see geometric shapes. They cracked the old lens, but they hadn't sucked it out yet. And as soon as I woke up, I remember hearing the doctor say, "Don't move," and they put me back under. And of course, when I woke up, I was sick, and I told him that would happen. So the second doctor, he says, "Oh, we'll give you some propofol, and you'll be just fine." And I says, "Isn't that what Michael Jackson died of?" And he goes, "Yeah, someone had to ruin the party." He was joking. He had mutton chops and everything else, and I would never, if I saw him on the street, guess that he was an anesthesiologist. But uh, and this was still during the COVID time, so all the families had to wait in cars outside until the surgeries were over and everything, and then they would walk into this one little area and fill out the papers that they received their loved one and everything, and then so here the second one comes around, and they put me to sleep, and I remember waking up, and you can't read an EKG upside down. I couldn't do it. I was trying, and I had 3 doctors and 6 nurses yelling at me to breathe, and evidently I had stopped breathing totally, and I felt fine. I didn't think I was in any distress. And I look around and I see they've got Jacob in there, my son. So then I knew something bad had happened. If they brought him in, something bad had happened because they were not allowing any family members or anything in. And so finally, they got my O2 sats up above, and we came home, and they said that 3 days later they want to try it again, but they're going to use the first anesthesiologist because he says he's got it down pat now. He knows what he can do and everything. And so the third one, the third surgery, I went in there and I remembered him. He remembered me and everything. And they put a patch behind my ear. There was guys in the service who would get sick every time we get on a ship. And the Marine Corps is notorious for putting you on ships. And I never got sick or anything, so I'd never had one of those patches on the back behind my ear and everything. And they put one of those patches behind my ear, and then he told me he was going to give me some meds in my IV to keep me from getting sick. And he's going, I was in there on a gurney waiting probably an hour or so until they were sure that all the meds had taken care of. And he says, "This is okay. Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they put me to sleep. I woke up from that one. I didn't have a black eye or a blood coming from my eye, and I wasn't sick. And so so as we're going home, my son looks at me and he says, "Dad, let's don't do this again." I think it scared the heck out of him. But like I say, we're not getting any younger, and every time Scamp was so small, every time one of us dies, my phone starts ringing. And we had another guy who was a retired New York detective, and he passed away from a heart attack. So yeah, they went ahead and let family members into that private Scamp room on Facebook, and because it's true. How would someone know that one of us passed away, even though we have a grapevine better than Ma Bell? I mean, like I said, one dies, phones go crazy, because they were so small. And, I think there's a total of maybe 300 of us totally left. And Scamp started back in the 60s when McNamara was the defense minister, and he wanted an electronic wall. He wanted an electronic wall put up on the Ho Chi Minh Trail because the Viet Cong was using that and bringing supplies down, and that's how they were from oh, what's it called? Um, it was a country that we were not supposed to go in, and Laos, and so I'm giving everybody just a little bit of a history lesson, which is not classified at all, and or at least not now. And so they were testing and inventing things, and they invented like this is no joke, turd seeds. They look like turds, and if you watch Top Gun, when the captain of that ship is talking to Maverick and Goose, and he tells them, "If you screw up this much, I'll have you flying a cargo plane out of Hong Kong with rubber shit," or whatever it was, and rubber turds. And that's what he was talking about. And the turd seeds didn't go over too well because you actually had to step on them to set it off. And even out in the jungle, people stepped around turds. That's no joke. This is the truth. And I used to have pictures. I probably still do on my Facebook. And then they came out with bowling ball seeds, they look like a water mine, one of those mines that you see in water, the old timey. And that didn't go over too good. And then they ended up with the phase 3 sensors, and we had some that would pick up seismic, some that would pick up magnetic. They'd pick up the eyelets of your boots, and that way we knew that it wasn't an animal out there, that it was something with metal on it. And we had infrared, which gave you right to left, left to right, and acoustic, which would give you sound. And these are all implanted by dropping them from helicopters or from high-speed jets or even OP-10s. And there weren't any actual books on it, on how to do all this stuff, because it was classified. And I remember we arranged to have an OV-10 drop on a LZ Lark at Camp Lejeune, and he gets up there, he's flying around, and he asked if we were ready, and we're like, "Yeah, we're ready." And he comes in and he dives down treetop level and pops up, He says, how was that? We're like, how was what? We didn't see any sensor drop. And he did it again, and he did it again. Nothing. And he had flown Highway 24 up to where LZ Lark was and turned in to make his run. And he had dropped the sensors on Highway 24. And of course, these were the shell of the sensors, and they had weights in them to so they would act like they were really loaded with the modules and stuff. And those things, it was like a little trees in the center lane of Highway 24 because their antennas look like little trees, and so they just unscrewed the antennas and left the sensor there. They're not going to do anything, but yeah, this stuff is phase 3, and we use those for years and years and years, and we used them in Panama successfully, and then the Army, these were phase 3 sensors, and the Army had phase 4 sensors, and all of a sudden we got phase 5 sensors. But then that was when my time was done with the Marine Corps, and so I never actually got to. I went up there for a meeting when we did the sensors up there and everything in Norfolk, Virginia, and spent like 4 days up there. And we're talking back when computers, the modems were like 9400 baud. So you had to plug a phone in or set a phone on it before you could transmit anything and wait till the little lights all lit up. It was, we're talking old people now, and we've had some younger guys come in to the group and say, who wants to know all about SCAMP? They're acting like they know it all, and we're sitting there going, does this person even realize that we invented it? We're the ones who, but it's okay. They figure out really quick who the old guys are. And but like I say, we've lost, there's 300 something. And if there's only 80 total in the Marine Corps each year, with 20 operators, and actually it was, let's see, not 80, it was, 20, 20, and 20. So there was only 60 of us because the reserve unit, 4th SCAMP, or 4th Marine Division did not have a SCAMP. So that's 60. And so now we've got 300 something of us left. I mean, still living. That's not much. It's not much at all. So, but we're getting along. A lot of us, we don't run anymore. I tried running one time and I was like, yeah, that's not a good idea for my back. I stopped real quick. And, but yeah, all the doctors put me in, they want me to, nobody wants to do an operation until actually the good would outweigh the bad that could happen, because the pigtail in the bottom of your spine, down where S1 is and all that, the pigtail is where all the nerves branch out. And so if they went in to remove the disc and put donor bones and a cage in there and stuff, I'm liable to wake up and be on life support and breathing. Then I'd have to be in I would have to constantly have care, and I wouldn't be able to get up and walk I'd be paralyzed. So that's one thing they're looking at and saying, he's still walking. He's still walking, And my doctor, uh, I was in the Asian store one day, and this man started passing out candy. And I says, "Thank you, but I can't have any." I says, "My doctor will get mad." He says, "Your doctor's not here." And I says, "Yes, she is. She's right over there." The guy's like, "What?" Because my doctor, like I say, is from Thailand, and she would go into Lex, and you can see Lisa and things about Lex on my other videos. But that's where we all bought everything, is from Lisa. So we don't know what we're going to do now that she's closed down, because Prescott Valley is just small. There's no other place we can buy things from that I know of. So that was kind of sad when she had to close down. And when I'm sure I'm going to hear, oops, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it when I go to the doctor on um, Wednesday. She's going to say, "Where are we going to buy all this and that?" I can hear it now. But nobody can believe I'm still walking. And I mean, I've got a bunch of pain meds, and I only take those when I get above a 7, like into a 10. So, and if I hit pain level 10, which, like I said earlier, is a 20 to normal people, um, yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I'll be like that for 3 days. It's hard to even move, to get up to go to the restroom and so forth. So I depend on these canes really bad. And now this one, man, I'm proud of it. I really am. I'm uh, I'm totally blown away, just because of the work that was put into it. I mean, it's gorgeous, literally, and no one, this is mine. It's not like any other, like none other. I said it right, none other. You know, and if someone says, "Oh, this is mine," uh, I can show them down at the bottom where Oscar Morris III actually made this. He was in the United States Navy, and my cane is 947. So I have to give a shout out to him. If y'all know someone who needs a cane, these are sturdy. I mean, this thing is. They repurposed the old Christmas trees, and I think that's awesome also. And when you see it's, I know I'm showing it to you on a video, which actually is not doing it justice. If you saw it up close, you'd be like, wow, because I showed it to some people that were working next door, and they were like, whoa. And so, yeah, when I go to my doctor's appointment on Wednesday, I'm going to be strutting right down those halls, and I have everyone looking at me, you know. I'm really proud of it. Oscar did an awesome job, and it's just, I can't say enough. I mean, I took pictures of it and sent them to my son, and who's living in Colorado now. And when we have a powwow, I'll go out there with that. No, I don't dance. I just go and I sit and watch. But yep, I'll have it with me. There's not another one. It's not like the other canes that everybody else has. This one's mine. It's unique. And so, yeah, I know I'm going over and over, but I'm gonna let y'all know, man, that I am just blown away from the work that went into this. So anyway, if y'all know of a vet that is disabled and walks with canes, it's free. I'm gonna give you, it's Free Canes for Veterans Incorporated, and he doesn't charge for these. That's what's amazing. So if you do know a vet that walks with a cane, hook them up, or have them, you know, look up Oscar Free Canes for Veterans on on Facebook. Okay, y'all have a wonderful day, and y'all stay safe, and I will see y'all again next week. Maybe I'll cook something next week. And so talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Bye.